Hello everyone. Myself Dr. Sharmila Pandey, Associate Professor of Chemistry in School of Sciences, Sage University, Bhopal. Today I will discuss the topic ionic compounds and ionic bonding. So ionic compounds. What form ionic compounds and what is the criteria for ionic bond formation? One of the species for formation of ionic bond must have electrons in excess of octet, whereas the other should be deficit of octet. So we know ionic bond or any bond forms between two atoms. So here we are discussing that the condition for ionic bond formation is that between the two atoms, one atom should be electrons in excess of octet, while the other should have deficit of octet. So, does it mean all the substance having surplus electron and species having deficient electron would form ionic bond? The answer is obviously no. So, why? We can explain it like for the formation of ionic bond. First, we have to make a cation and an anion. So, to form a cation from the neutral atom, that is, to take out an electron from a neutral atom, we have to supply some energy, and this is known as ionization energy. On the other hand, to make an anion, we have to release some energy to add up some electron to the neutral atom to form an ion. So the first one, that is the removal of an electron from a neutral atom to form a cation, the energy we need to supply is called ionization energy. And in the second case, to form an anion, the adding up of electron to a neutral atom, the released energy is known as electron affinity. So we can say for the formation of ionic bond, species must have low ionization energy and the other one should have high electron affinity. So we have to look for which elements specify these, fulfill these conditions. So if we see in the periodic table, the group 1 and group 2 elements, that is alkali and alkaline earth metals, are having low ionization energy. That means they form cations easily. On the other hand, the elements which show high electron affinity are mainly the group 17 and group 16 elements, that is halogens and chalcogens. Therefore, these group of elements are predominant in the field of ionic bonding. Now, the main force of attraction between oppositely charged particles is the electrostatic force of attraction, and this attraction force is governed by Coulomb's law, which is F equals to K Q1 Q2 by R square. Whereas F is the electric force, K is Coulomb's constant, Q1 and Q2 are charges of cations and anions, and R is the distance of separation. So now I will discuss the general characteristics of ionic compounds. So first point is melting and boiling points. Generally, because of the strong electrostatic interaction between positive and negative charged ions in the crystals, ionic compounds are generally very strong and therefore their breakdown requires higher energies. So we can say that the ionic compounds generally have a very higher melting and boiling points. But significant variations are attributed to number one, charges on the ion, and number two, ionic radii. For example, NaCl and barium oxide. Both are ionic compounds and both are having similar internuclear distance. But we can see that sodium chloride has a melting point 800 degrees centigrade, whereas barium oxide has melting point 1921 degrees centigrade, which is quite higher than that of NaCl. What is the reason behind it? The reason is that in sodium chloride, sodium plus and chloride minus both are singly charged, whereas in barium oxide, barium 2 plus and oxide 2 minus both are doubly charged. So we can see here the stronger attraction happens in case of doubly charged barium oxide as compared to singly charged sodium chloride. That is the reason of higher melting point in barium oxide. The second point is ionic radii. So that we can explain if we look carefully in this picture, we can see that the ionic radii increases down the group. So if we compare two compounds, sodium chloride and sodium iodide, we can say with sodium fluoride, interionic distance will be very small. But if sodium forms compound with iodide, that is sodium iodide, the interionic distance will be quite large. So melting point also depends on the size of the ions. Larger the ions, the weaker the attractive force, and therefore the lower will be the melting point. So we have seen the melting point of sodium iodide is 925 degrees centigrade, which is quite lower than the that of sodium chloride, where the melting point is 1270 degrees centigrade. So we can explain this difference in melting point by the size of considering the size of iodide and fluoride ions. Next point is the hardness of ionic compounds. The electrostatic interaction between oppositely charged ions determines the hardness of the ionic compound. This also depends on ionic radii as well as charges on the ions. So in this picture, we can see if we go down a group, the radii of that element increases, of that cation will increase. So if we consider calcium oxide, strontium oxide and barium oxide, so barium oxide will have mm, greater interionic distance as compared to calcium oxide. So we can say although all these three calcium oxide, strontium oxide and barium oxide have similar NaCl type of structure, but their interionic distance increases along the group from calcium oxide to strontium oxide to barium oxide, and consequently the hardness will decrease down the group, right? So in short, more compact the structure, harder is the substance. So second point is the charge on the compound, as we have seen in case of melting point. In case of a hardness also, if we compare lithium chloride and strontium oxide, both are having similar NaCl type of structures and same interionic distance of 257 picometer. Their hardness increases as we move from singly charged lithium plus chloride minus ions to doubly charged strontium 2 plus and oxide 2 minus ions. Why? Because the stronger force of attraction will work in case of strontium oxide. So there that will be more harder. So it will be difficult to break strontium oxide. So we can say the uh, if the compound is doubly charged, so that will be harder as compared to singly charged ionic compounds. Same will be the case for NaCl and CaS, that is calcium sulfide. Next point is the brittleness. The constituent units that make the ionic solids are oppositely charged ions, right? So plus and minus, these two oppositely charged ions remain beside near one another in a ionic lattice. So if we apply some external force, so the it will sliding of these layers happens, and the movement of these layers brings the like charges near each other. So now the positive charges are next to each other, and this will cause a strong repulsion. So because of the strong repulsion of the like charges, now the breakdown of the crystal takes place. So for this reason, although the ionic compounds are hard, but they are brittle and can be powdered easily. Next point is the cleavage of ionic compound. This phenomena of cleavage is also observed in ionic crystals. That is, if we in crystal of NaCl, the when we can achieve the cleavage. So if we try to break the compound or try to apply force in any random direction or any arbitrary plane, the compound will just shatter. It will shatter the structure. But if we want, if we apply the force along the planes parallel to the cube face of that crystal lattice, the cleavage can be achieved. So cleavage is another property in ionic compounds. What is about solubility? Ionic compounds are soluble in highly polar solvent. We all know water is a very good polar solvent, and that is why water is a good solvent for dissolving ionic compounds also, because it has a larger dipole moment. So having larger dipole moment, it provides higher hydration energy due to strong ion solvent dipole interaction. Also, because the water has high dielectric constant, this is responsible for reducing the attractive force between cations and anions in solution. So that is why it keeps the unlike charges apart from each other. That so water is a good solvent for solubilizing ionic compounds, and suitable solvents for dissolving ionic compounds should have high dipole moment and high dielectric constant. What about conductance? So in an ionic crystal, the ions are situated in fixed position. So that is why they are not mobile. And if the ions are not mobile, they cannot conduct any electricity in solid state. But when we melt them, that is, in the molten state or in the solution state, the crystal has been broken, and therefore the ions are now free to move in an electric field, and that is why they conduct electricity. So we can say the ionic compounds conduct electricity in fused state or in solution. They are also having some stereochemistry. What is that? The constituent ions of an ionic solid possess an orderly arrangement in a definite geometric pattern. So in all crystal lattice of ionic compounds, we can see an orderly arrangement in definite geometric pattern which repeat itself throughout the crystal. So we can say they have a fixed stereochemistry also. For any particular substance, the angle between corresponding pair of faces is always the same in all crystals. So that was all about the general characteristics of ionic compounds. Thank you. And this is the end of this topic, ionic compounds. Thank you.